Hey, beautiful souls, and welcome to Around the Kitchen Table, a space for honest conversations, stories from the heart, and gentle reminders that we're all walking each other home. I'm Laura Island, mother, creative, soul led CEO of Sacred Sister CIC, and the woman behind Wise Sacred Woman. I'm a witch with ADHD. And this podcast is where we gather to share the real, raw, and radiant parts of life. Each week, we'll explore what it means to live in rhythm with ourselves, with nature, and with one another. We'll talk about womanhood, sisterhood, creativity, leadership, spirituality, and the messy magic of being a human. So pour yourself a cuppa, get comfy, and let's meet here around the kitchen table, where stories are medicine and every voice belongs.
Take a big breath with me. I am here again. It's Friday morning. I'm recording from the car today, which can only mean one thing. My daughter is out riding. It's actually really sunny and really lovely, so that's feeling good. And I'm really kind of going to speak to you today about, I don't know, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Life is moving around me, and honestly, it feels like this is the only place I could record from right now because it's been a heavy week, not in a dramatic way. Well, in moments, it's been quite dramatic, but more in a seeing way because once you begin to see certain things, and these aren't new things to me, but we can get so caught up in our own lives that we don't necessarily always notice them in the way that they are showing themselves. I know that sounds a bit riddle-ish. Riddle me this. So stay with me and yeah, stay with me. Let's see how this unfolds. I will try not to be too waffly or too much or too chaotic or too wordy, or I'm going to try for my dreadlocks not to offend you, or for my voice to not offend you, or for the way that I speak to not offend you, or for me to not speak too fast because that will be wrong. Do you get where I'm coming from? This has been the kind of theme of my week. It's just made me aware of the madness of the world, the quiet misogyny, the not so quiet misogyny, the comments, the systems, the dynamics that we've all normalized for so long. And when you start to really notice it, it's everywhere, even in places that you wish it wasn't, even inside our homes, even inside families. And that awareness, it changes you. This week, something landed really close to home for me. Um, in fact, many things landed close to home for me. I had a big falling out with a family member over something. I began to remember old patterns from my childhood, things that were said to me that made me play small, not feel good enough. Something played out with my daughter that made her feel like she was too much. And then that also brought home some old wounds for me. And then a friend of mine has been told that her cancer has spread and there's nothing more that they can do. And she was put on chemo anyway a few weeks back, waiting before they'd even had this final diagnosis. Not because it will heal her, like they hadn't finished the diagnosis process, but they stuck her on it anyway because it's protocol. And before that, she'd been working with herbs and she'd been supporting her body in ways that felt aligned to her and was told to stop all of that. And now she's sick. She wasn't sick before. She wasn't ill before. She wasn't feeling shit before. She was feeling well and feeling capable and feeling able. And now suddenly she's sick from the medication, from the drugs. And watching this unfold has made me so freaking angry. Not reactive anger, but really deep grieving anger. Now, I want to really clarify this, right? And I want to be really clear. This isn't about being anti-medicine. It's not about blame. It's not about saying the NHS is shit, the science is rubbish. It's not about saying any of that. It's really comes home to this thing that I keep coming back to more and more and more. It's about disconnection. It's about what happens when I'm going to say we, women, but we are removed from our own bodies, from our own choices, from our own responsibility and voice. It's what happens when care becomes protocol and listening disappears. And when you see that, when you really see it, you can't unsee it. And not only in the medical profession, we're seeing it in the news, in the things that are happening in the world, in the chaos, in the craziness, in the big divide of disconnection of like, somebody lost their life, a human lost their life, another human took that life. There was no reason for that to happen. And there's a big divide and a big disconnection. People can't look at something for themselves and say, is that right or wrong? They're just caught up in the drama of what they see on TV. And like I say, even in my own household, there was a difference of opinion. A difference of opinion changed when they were shown a different viewpoint of the same incident. A different viewpoint of the same incident. I've got into fights now. My my tutor used to say to me, just don't get in the ring, Laura. But sometimes I just have to get in the ring. Sometimes there are just things that absolutely need to be said because somebody needs to freaking say them. And I'm not the only one. There's loads of people talking about this kind of stuff this week. There's loads of anger. Like there was a day where, 2 days ago, where I just felt like the whole world was on fire. Everybody was arguing. People were arguing with me online. There was arguments in my home. There were arguments in work situations for other people. Like it was just a hard day inside of our membership. Everyone was just having a hard day. It was just a hard day. I was like, where are the planets? What's going on? What's happening? But I don't want to blame it all on the planetary shit because actually, yes, it's real and it's there, but we still need to be able to navigate that stuff. So what's going on? Why can't I navigate my own nervous system today? Because I'm in the field of that energy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch a podcast from a couple of weeks ago, which I talked about the field of energy. I'm going to take a breath because I do talk too fast. Because when I'm passionate and when something is moving in my body, if I try to slow it down, it hurts. I'm so in tune with my body. And I can say that, and it's taken me many, many years to be that in tune with my body. I can say it from that place of I am in tune with my body enough to know that when I stop that flow of energy, it's like it gets me, it catches me, it takes my breath away. So there's a wider pattern here. And when you look at it, suddenly everything connects. The way that women are spoken over, the way we're told what's best for us, the way we're encouraged to hand our power, our knowing, our responsibility over to systems that don't know us and mostly don't really care. Whether it's in medicine or motherhood or work or relationships, it's the same pattern. Don't trust yourself. We'll decide. Be compliant, be quiet, be good. And something in me just can't accept that anymore. And I feel a little bit sorry for my husband because he's kind of getting at both barrels right now because I'm just like, don't speak to me like that. Don't do that. Don't do this. And he's not a bad man. He's a good man. He's a good man who is willing to do the work to look at his ingrained realities of this, right? Because you can't sit there and say, I don't behave that way, or that's not me, or I don't do that. You can't sit there and say that you've never bitched about another woman, or you've never backstabbed, or you've never gossiped, or you've never made a judgment. You can't say that because I know that you have. I know that I have. You can't say that you've never lied because I know you have. I know I have. I've said I'm fine when I'm absolutely not. I've said, actually, I can't make that today because something else has come up, when actually the truth is I just don't have the spoons to leave the house. you know? So is it a lie? Well, it's okay, isn't it? No, it's actually not. If you could just be completely and utterly truthful with each other and trust that it was okay to do so and that somebody wasn't going to take the piss out of you or tell you that's not okay, would you be more open to just really walking your truth? How many of us go to work when we feel sick and we're not feeling well because actually we have that drummed into us responsibility that we have to go to work and that the whole world is going to fall apart if we don't? That used to be me. I'd have a 12-hour day list of clients in the spa, and I would get off my arse, dragging myself to work, working in close environments, breathing all over people, and I might be full of cold flu and shit, and I'd be still going to work because I didn't want to let those 12 people down that were booked in for a nice relaxing treatment that day. Did it for years, years and years and years. I overrode my own feelings for years. Then I got to a point where I would call all of my clients and be like, look, I feel well enough to treat you, but I just want to give you the heads up that I'm full of cold and I'm full of shit. And like, do you want to come or not? And 99.9% of the time they'd go, no, thanks. Thanks for giving us the call. We don't want to, let's reschedule. And they would appreciate the fact that I'd made a decision based on my own health, my own well-being, and that is needed for somebody else. I had another sister this week in the sanctuary. I just need to tell you, this sanctuary is such a glorious place. Like when I was going through all of this earlier on in the week, just to have somewhere. I'm not the guru. I don't sit at the top of the sanctuary. We are all in it together. I create the spaces for these things to happen inside of them. And yes, I teach courses and workshops and all that stuff through the sanctuary, but I'm also, the sanctuary is there for me to go into if I need to, or fucking hell, like I've had a really amazing day and this is what happened. Like we big each other up, we help each other rise, we support each other under the absolute strictest sacred agreement that says we're not there to frap. We don't fix each other, we don't rescue each other, we don't advise each other unless somebody asks for advice, and we don't project our shit all over each other. We don't pretend to know what you're feeling. We honor completely what you're feeling. That's a really big turning point. And if more of society did that, very simple reality, like it exists in our house, it exists in the way that I work. It's really important. So I digress, but just take that on board. So this sister shared in there that actually, she'd had a really hard time, but one of the things that she'd had a hard time of was that she was full of flu and she made a decision not to go to work, and she's now working for a new space, and an old space that she worked for, she was overwhelmed. There was no way she could ever take a day off sick. And she'd messaged her boss to say she was really poorly, and her boss had come back with, hey, what do you need? Do you need some groceries? Do you need anything from the pharmacy? Can I drop something around for you? And that's what had pushed her over the edge, because she was like really emotional, like no one's ever asked me that before. And I sent her back a message to say, no, I'm fine, when actually I'd really like this and this and this. So I was like, go back to her and say, yes, please, if you can, I'd love this and this and this. Simple, simple. Ask for what you need. Someone has said, I'm here for you, but we don't trust it. And so we turn it away and we say no, even when we need something, because we don't feel like it's okay for us to have our needs met. There's so much in this podcast, even just in that last little rant. I'd love it if you're listening to this, just take a little moment. Take a little moment. If you are somewhere where you can drop me a comment and let me know which bit of what I've just shared already is resonating with you. Which bit is making you feel seen, heard, supported? Which bit of you is going, oh my God, you're so right? Or which bit of you's going, oh, you're just talking shit, Laura? Because I'm open to that, because that's your opinion and that matters to me. Your opinion. I'm sorry, I've just got me. Your opinion matters. So, do you know what? Cars aren't built for anywhere to rest a laptop. Just going to say it. So yeah. Um, lost my train of thought. Come back. Anyway, I'm going to speak to the turning point, because fighting the madness at its level isn't the answer. Shouting into the noise isn't going to heal us. Burning ourselves out trying to change broken systems doesn't heal us. What does change things is coming home to your body, coming home to your intuition, coming home to connection with yourself first and then with other women. And what I mean by that is how you choose to live your life every day has an impact on how you live your life. That might sound really simple. Of course it does, Laura. How I choose to live my life is how I live my life. What I mean, in fact, maybe I should say, how you choose to live your life is how you die. Would that have more impact? Because if you choose to live your life in the fast lane, in the madness, make choices to smoke and vape and drink alcohol, most of which is just because you're covering up from dealing with your own trauma, just so you know. If you don't stop, if you don't take regular breaks, if you don't eat well, if you live a life full of plastics and chemicals, if you don't choose organic food when you can, if you choose processed foods, if you don't drink enough water, and if the water you drink comes out of a tap full of chemicals, if you don't move your body, if you don't get out in nature, if you don't get sunshine on your face, if you like all of you don't sleep well, if you spend too much time on your screen and your life is full of doom scrolling, all of those things will impact when and how you die. Unless you walk out tomorrow and get hit by a bus. That's slightly different. That's a slightly different impact. But could equally be said. You know, I almost ran over a boy this morning. So here you go. Here's a decision. I almost ran him over because I was looking at the road and hadn't clocked that he was riding along the pavement on his phone. And as I went to pull out, because I'm looking at the road this way, because the traffic is only coming from one direction. So I only need to look for traffic coming from one direction, right? Because I'm pulling out of a one-way street onto a road and I'm moving in the road. I'm moving into the onward traffic. So I'm looking this way. I go to pull forward and he is riding along on his push bike on the pavement coming the other way on his phone. Quick wits, thank God, and he was okay. But, you know, he might not have been. And that's, you know, a decision made on riding his bike on the wrong side of the road on a pavement on his phone. So that's a really simplistic kind of version of like how we choose to live, right? Makes an impact. So if we're that disconnected from ourselves, then we don't make good choices. If we're not connected to our bodies and our emotions and the way that we want to be in the world, and we're that disconnected, we don't make choices that are good for us. It was 30 years ago, probably 25 years ago, when I made the biggest turning point in my life. I had been in a relationship of sorts from the age of 14. I got into relationships early, I now realise, because I was constantly looking for someone to validate me and for me to feel like I fitted in. So I would always look for the boyfriend that was going to fix the other half of me, the boyfriend who was going to be able to make me feel normal, because girls had boyfriends and that's how it was. And, you know, we were all out there because we're just breeding machines, right? Talking back in the 80s, 90s. I mean, that sounds like yesterday to me, but it wasn't. It was a long time ago. And life has changed massively since then. My daughter definitely doesn't feel the pressure to go out and find a boyfriend at 14, 15. She's like, not interested. Neither does my son. Like, boyfriend or girlfriend, not interested. Like, it's not that pressure. They're still figuring out who the fluff they are. Digressing, but still on the point. Get my ADHD brain back in the room. So now I've lost it. Oh, so yeah, so I was in relationships all of that time, like, all the way through, and I had my story's long and long-winded, and there's a lot in it. But at 25, I was diagnosed with fibro, and I pretty much diagnosed myself originally because the doctors were getting nowhere, and I took God, I wish I hadn't taken that book into the doctors and said, if we can't find any other answers, maybe this is it. And the doctor went, yeah, probably. Poked me in 19 places, and all of them were sore, and went, yeah, that's it. We're going to go down that route. So I have that diagnosis on my system forever. And so, I was re-diagnosed 2 years ago because they couldn't work out what was going on for me. And what I recognise is, before Christmas, I had loads of tests, brain scans and scans on my kidneys and horrible tests on my bladder. But if I stopped long enough, if I'd have been able to really clock what was going on with my life, I'd gone from looking after myself really well to having a super, super busy summer in festival fields, eating what I wanted, which I don't. I have a really strict anti-inflammatory diet for most of the reasons that I'm sharing with you. So I was eating on the run. I wasn't eating regularly. I wasn't eating well. I wasn't doing any of what I needed to do to look after myself. I wasn't able to um just loads of things I wasn't doing. And then I got sick. Then we moved house. And then my blood pressure was super high. Everyone went into panic. So then I have to look at all of that. And what I realised is November time, I just managed to find the time to look after myself better. And now I feel great. Great-ish. It's winter, right? So I feel bigger than I want to be. I feel, I have some aches in my joints and bones, and I've broken my foot. So that's a bit shit. But I am I am feeling 100 times better than I was. And I realized I was just disconnected. Disconnected. I wasn't meditating. I wasn't looking after myself. I wasn't doing what I needed to do. I just wasn't looking after myself. So again, this is where it comes back to connection. And this is why I created the sanctuary, because the sanctuary for me is a place for women to become a part of. And it's not another program. It's not something you have to do. It's not something you have to rush through. It's not about fixing yourself. Because I tell you this all the time, you're not broken, so you don't need fixing, right? It's not about bypassing pain or pretending that things are fine. It's slowing down. It's all about the slowing down. Slowing down enough to listen again to your body, to your nervous system, to your inner knowing. It's about remembering that they are participants in their lives, not passengers. That responsibility doesn't mean blame, it means agency, it means choice, it means right relationship with yourself. And that quietly, gently changes everything. Inside the sanctuary, we move in rhythm. We pause and we reflect and we listen, and we don't force transformation. We allow it, because real change doesn't come from urgency, it comes from presence. And when women are resourced, connected, and rooted, the world around them begins to change too, not loudly, but really deeply. When I was on my interfaith ministry training, the more I healed of my own story, the more my mum would just begin to kind of call me up and share things with me that she'd never shared with me before. And I was like, why is she telling me that? But they were all relevant to my story. They were all relevant to me. I hadn't asked her about them, but something was moving in the field and something was healing and changing. And so she was able to kind of open up more. Going back to the fibro thing, just clicked in. So at that age, when I sat and looked at what I was doing to my body, I was working 60, 70 hours a week. I was working crazy hours. I was working as a therapist in spas. So I was giving, 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 giving of myself all the time. I wasn't sleeping well. I was chronically addicted to dating sites. I'm just going to name that. Like, I was still looking for the one. Even though I'd been married, divorced, been through a hugely violent marriage with a police officer. Yep, put those two things together. Hugely, angry man. He had loads of affairs. of other women involved. Like it was just a mess. And I'd been out to Saudi Arabia and I'd been working out in Saudi Arabia and I came back and I was drinking like 2 liters of Diet Coke a day, eating Chinese every night. I wasn't looking after myself. And my body just went, enough, enough. I can't do this anymore. My body said enough. And I went, there's something wrong with me. I need to medicalize that. Actually, my body was just saying, I've had enough. Can we do something about this now? And that's exactly what I recognized in this year. Like I went naturally down the medical route. Oh my God, something's wrong. And actually, the truth is, my body was just telling me it had enough and I needed to take better care of myself. And so I then became a bit vigilante, you know, come off all chemicals, don't have any chemicals, don't have any chemicals in your food, don't look, blah, 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 blah. It's like so many things. And the problem is I look like I don't look after myself because I have a condition called lipedema, which makes me big and makes me heavy. And there is nothing I can do about that one, sadly. So when I talk to people, like I was on a vegan diet for years and still weighed 16 stone, you know, like it's hard because you don't look a certain way. Therefore, people don't think you look after yourself well. But actually, I don't drink, don't smoke, don't have any chemicals, don't have any chemicals on my body, I don't have any chemicals on my skin, I don't have any chemicals on my hair, I don't like literally we've been that way for 27 years now. And it's easier now to make those choices than it has ever been. Back then, back then there was only one company that I could work with that was organic and chemical free as a skincare company. And so I took on their brand and I opened a business and I ran the first and only chemical free salon in the UK for many years. There's lots of things under my belt. Because actually, there's these industries that say, yay, come and make yourself beautiful, but we're going to pump you full of so much chemical that we're going to actually possibly create a longer damage in the future. You should take note of that. Look at what you're using on your skin. Look at what you're putting in your body. Because I stopped being vigilante about it, and I'll tell you why. I stopped being vigilante about it because I thought, oh, everybody knows that now. Everybody, you can't tell anyone else. Everybody knows it. Turns out that we don't. It turns out that whilst I was watching something on the telly last night, freaking Amazon have got adverts in it. We're on Prime. Why have we got adverts? I don't know. And like every 2 minutes, a freaking advert popped up, and that advert was pumping and pushing everything it could about chemicals. A dishwasher product, a washing up liquid that you could squirt and on your stuff, and it means that you get to wash up quicker. Like just laundry liquids, air fresheners. Every single thing that came on there was just pumping full of more chemicals. If you've got a dog, what's wrong with your house smelling of dog? You've got a dog. You don't have to have a house that smells of dog. Hoover more, look after yourself, wash their bed in, and, put some really beautiful essential oils that are natural into a diffuser and diffuse them every day. We've got 3 dogs. Our house doesn't smell of dog. You get what I mean? Don't need Febreze to tell me that. Anyway. Ranting. I'm ranting. I have no idea how long I've been ranting for. So let's bring this to a close because if you're feeling it too, if you're feeling anything that I have shared with you today, if the world feels heavy or loud or wrong right now, know that you're not broken. You might just be seeing more clearly. And there is another way to live, another way to walk, another way to belong. So I'm really glad you're here because if you're here and you've watched this, possibly one of the only 20 people that might watch it, but hey, if you've watched it, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share. If something I've said in this today resonates with you, go pop it on your own socials and be like, hey, this woman, she said this thing and it made sense. And if you don't agree with me, that's okay too. Because do you know what? I'm evolved enough to know that you have your opinion and it's valid. Before I rant too far, I had an opinion this week and got torn down by 2 white women that basically told me my opinion was invalid. And I was like, no, it's not. You're part of the problem if you can't recognize that my opinion is as valid as yours. You might not agree with it. That doesn't mean that it's not valid. I spent my whole life being told that I was too loud, too much, and I'm now going to be too loud and too much because actually there are people in the world that we need to advocate for. So I'm going to be too loud and too much. And if you're in that Too Loud Too Much brigade with me, it's 11:11 on Friday the 16th of January. You should probably come and find us in the sanctuary, because, you know, if your emotions have risen whilst I've kind of shared this with you, then let it. You know, I really want to see you inside the sanctuary, and the sanctuary doors close really soon. So this isn't a getting quick. They will reopen, but I opened the doors of the sanctuary on May the 1st, Beltane, last year. And I knew that I wanted to create a really strong foundation with 100 women in our founding circle. And we're at something like 80 something women. And I'm going to close that circle, and I'm going to close the doors on the sanctuary the end of this month in bulk, because we're diving into something quite big inside the sanctuary that will really pave the way for where we're headed, but also pave the way for these women that are inside the sanctuary to really, really get to know their purpose, to really heal the wounds that stop them from finding their voice, to really get out of their own way so they can create the best life of their dreams, not from a place of hustle, but from a place of deep knowing, coming back to that deep feminine wisdom that they hold, and coming back to connection with themselves, because you can't connect with other people until you've got that connection with yourself, and then connecting with each other. You know, the beauty of what I see in that is so powerful in our sanctuary. And then how we create with a connection with nature, and we begin to live in alignment with nature, with our cycle, with the moon, with the feminine cycles. With inside the sanctuary, we work in this beautiful rhythm. We're not in a rush. We don't have a monthly theme. We don't have a, like, you know, oh, we're doing this. We work in the cycles, the 6-week cycles and rhythm that comes up between Imbolc and spring equinox, between spring equinox and Beltane. And we listen to what the earth is calling for in that time, because that's where we are our most powerful, our most potent. So if you want to be in that founding circle, now's the time. I don't usually talk about this stuff in our podcast. It's 333, which is nothing. It's 333 for life. And I say it's nothing because it's nothing for the value that you get, but it might feel like a lot to you. So right now you can also join for £35 a month for 10 months. And at the end of that 10 months, you will have lifetime access, and you will be in the founding members. And you start now. So you don't have to wait till you get to the end of 10 months. You're in from now. So that's the cheapest it's ever going to be. And I'm opening that doorway because I'm calling those last people in. Feels important to me, because we're the anchor, and that group will stay as the founding circle forever. So that, you know, however many women this movement will bring in, and I have a big goal, right? I have a big goal for 10,000 women to be in this movement by the end of 2026, because not for me, for you, not for me, because I know that I'm moving in that direction regardless. But if I can make a change in my own life and move in that direction, how different would it be if 10,000 women make that decision? If 10,000 women step in and say, actually, I want to do life a different way. If 10,000 women, and mine's not the only route, there's a million other routes, but I kind of like mine. I created it that way. And I created that way because I've been in so many other containers, really expensive containers that, like, you know, I got asked to join a container the other week, and it was like £20,000 for the year. And it's not to say that it's not worth £20,000, but just because ours isn't £20,000 doesn't make it any less valuable than. It just means that I've made a decision to make this as accessible as I can, so that every woman has an opportunity to join us. And if you don't, and if you can't find £35 a month, I would question why. Why? Can I not find £35 a month, or am I choosing not to give that to myself? Because that's really key. It's really key. I joined a program last year. It cost me £500 a month for 6 months, and I didn't have that money. No idea where that money was coming from. In fact, it was more than that. But I found it every month because it was an important portal for me to go through. So it's a portal I decided not to stay in, but it is a portal that I decided to go through. And all of these parts make you who you are when you start to reclaim those parts of yourself. So yeah, I'm sharing that with you on a deeper note because why the heck not? Why the heck should I not share with you this amazing portal that we've created for women. Like, I want you in there if that resonates with you. So, right, waffle over. I'll see you all soon. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for meeting me around the kitchen table. I also want to tell you that I've had some amazing conversations with amazing women that I'm going to start to do some podcasts with. So soon, what will be coming is not just me around the kitchen table. It'll be me meeting you and meeting with someone else to have an amazing conversation and really to make extraordinary conversations ordinary. This conversation I've had with you today is fairly extraordinary, right? It's not the kind of conversation you might have every day, but I want it to become ordinary. I want it to become ordinary that you speak to your friends and your people and the people around you about how would it be just to reconnect? How would it be just to meet for a coffee once a week and actually not just talk shit, but really talk to each other? Anyway, I could waffle on apparently a long time, so I'm going to go now. I love you. Thank you for being here with me, and I'll speak to you soon. Laura out. Lots of love.